Hello and welcome to Zera. Today, I am your humble host, Dr. Lorenzo Neal, hailing from Cajun Land, USA, here to present you with seeds of wisdom, insight, empowerment, and liberation, promoting knowledge that's engaging and transforming. And it's our goal to empower you, our listeners, to knowing and impacting the world around you. As always, you're welcome to join us on this illuminating journey. Several ways you can do so. Follow us on all our social media. We are available on Facebook at the Zera Network on Facebook. Go there, like that page. Listen to archive shows. Follow us on Twitter, show handle at Zera Radio. My personal handle at Lorenzo T. Neal. And also YouTube. Thank you for watching. We want to invite you at this time to like and subscribe. Yeah, like and subscribe. Help us out. And we appreciate everything that you're doing to help this show grow. Go to patreon.com/Lorenzo T. Neal and sign up to be a patron for this broadcast and this everything that we do. We appreciate you so much. I want to start out by congratulating the Reverend Dr. Ralph Warnock, who is the pastor at the Ebenezer Missionary Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, which is the historic church of Doctors Martin Luther King Sr. and Jr. and noted for the pulpiteers who have graced that place, that sacred space. And Dr. Warnock, having served as this pastor for well over a decade, if not longer, it's been a good minute, probably 20 years, I don't know. I've had the privilege of seeing him in person and a number of places and conventions and whatnot. I have his book in my library. And when he announced that he would seek the Senate seat for the state of Georgia, I was a bit conflicted. I'm kind of wary of pastors entering in politics, even though I myself have done that. I was kind of glad to hear that he would run, but at the same time conflicted, because as a pastor, he would have to, and this is me, I would think he'd have to resign. There'll be too much conflict of interest for him to continue pastoring and serving as a senator in the United States Congress. Although there are two other clergy that I'm aware of in the Senate, in Congress and House. Of course, there's Reverend Emmanuel Cleaver, who we will talk about later. There is Minister Bush, I can't think of her first name, recently elected. And he will make the third clergy person, Christian clergy person in the U.S. Congress. He is also making history as the first elected black congressperson, or rather senator, from the state of Georgia. Full disclosure, I did not endorse his candidacy. I do have some objections to some of the platforms that he supports, particularly when it comes to abortion. And I did sign a letter with several other clergy persons of prominence, or not so much prominence, regarding his particular statement. He stated that he's a pro-choice pastor, which, as those of us who, I'm not really pro-life. I am anti-abortion. It's a choice whether you choose to have the child or not to choose to have the child. I am anti-abortion on demand, and more specifically, in that I believe that we should encourage life altogether, particularly in the black community. That's just where I stand on that. And so while I did not agree with him on his position regarding abortion, I think he has served his community well, and it may be that he will serve his state well as a senator. He has 6 years to do so. But we will be seeing a new president. Well, we'll know later today whether we'll have a new president or not. And the question is already going on: who's to blame for what happened in Georgia with the runoff? I mean, honestly, in full disclosure, because I lean more to the right, more conservative and all that. So I'm center right. The people are now starting to ask the question: who is to blame for the two Democrats possibly winning in the Georgia Senate runoff versus the two Republican senators who should have won? I mean, it was contested, but usually in runoffs, there's low voter turnout, and in this case, there was not. There was higher voter turnout for this runoff election, which says a lot about those persons and their zeal to see this election cycle come to an official end, as well as their zeal to see Democrats have a majority. And I think for the black people in Georgia, it was just about seeing a black man being elected to a national office again. They did it with Obama, but here they could say we did it for our state. Just like in Mississippi, we were celebrating when our state legislatures voted to remove the flag that had the Confederate emblem on it, and to allow the voters of the state to vote for a new state flag, which we did. 2020 proved that in conjunction with all the injustices that we saw, or we believe to have been seen during 2020 with acts against black men in particular, with law enforcement, this sense of everybody now caving into the Black Lives Matter movement. It was only bound to happen that if there was black candidates on ballots, that those black candidates, in spite of what their platforms may have been, were more than likely going to be elected. The interesting thing about that also is that not only was he elected largely by black vote in Georgia, largely, but I talked with someone last year. I did an interview with Dean Nelson, who's the chairman of the Douglas Leadership Institute and the Frederick Douglass Foundation, of which I'm part of. And I asked him about the trend of black voters shifting their votes from the Democratic Party to Trump at the presidential level, but also still voting, a lot of them still voting Democratic at the local level, state and local, which is not uncommon. But seeing them shift, especially black men shifting from voting Democrat to voting Republican in favor of Trump, it's just crazy. But again, I said all that. I want to give commendations to Dr. Warnock, Pastor Warnock, now Senator Warnock, for him. And while I may not agree with him on policy, and I may not agree with those persons who may be backing him, funding him, and all of that, the brother is my brother, my yokeman, a fellow yokeman in the gospel ministry. And because of that, he will have my prayers. He will have my prayers. He's going to need them, because he's in a different, and politics are politics, but he's in a different thing. He's on another level, and he's going to have to be assertive in his faith. And I'm just hoping that the black liberation that he preaches and promotes is what he stands for. And yes, I said black liberation. I ascribe to a black liberation theology, just like those who mentored me and many others with the idea. And yes, I know that there are some who are going to say that, well, that's Marxist, and there are some Marxist overtones in that. You can't escape that. But what you can acknowledge is the fact that black people are starting to feel more empowered. 2020 gave them this sense of empowerment like never before. But anyway, Dr. Warnock, I do wish you well in the Senate, and be praying for you. I'll be praying for those who will be antagonizers against you, and for those who will be protagonizers or protagonists for you. I'll be praying. And that leads to the last thing. There are only 3 black senators in the United States Senate, and all 3 of them are male now, with Warnock incoming, and only one of them is Republican. The other 2 are Democrats. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they interact in this congressional season. How will they interact? How will they defend? Will Warnock and Booker defend Tim Scott when people come against him? Will Tim Scott stand with Warnock and Booker as a black man, whether he agrees with them ideologically or not? Will he stand with them when it comes to issues facing black people? It's going to be it really is going to be interesting, and I'm excited, I guess. I'm excited, but I'm also wondering. I'm also wondering.